Hi, I'm Lee. Marielle is behind the camera. Today we're going to put a shelf on our 2017 Sprinter. This one's a pretty simple one, pretty basic. I took some painter's tape and placed it approximately where I wanted my shelf to be, all the way around in a couple different locations, just vertically. This is after the fact. Then I have a laser level. Nothing is level in a van, but I did want to get a straight shot from here to here. I just placed pieces here, here, a couple strategic places all the way around at approximately the height I wanted. Then I took my laser, and it's going to be kind of hard to see during the day, but I took my laser, and you can see it puts a line all the way across. And it continues all the way across to this side as well. And I marked my tape with the level, or with the laser, so that I knew where I wanted to be. That gave me a good baseline. Then I placed marks all the way around, and that let me know where I wanted my shelf to be placed. It's high enough that it's not in the way while you're driving. You got plenty of room to get in and out and pass through, but it's as low as possible to give me the maximum amount of space up here. Then I took these little clips off. This just pops off, and there's a Torx bit here, and that comes out. Once I got that out, I know the level where I want to be. I got my mounting point here. Tucked a piece of cardboard in here. I knew my level here, and my hole here. So this is one point, and this is the level. So I took that and sketched out a frame. This is that point, and this is that point. I did that for here, and I also did that for here at this point. So this hole lines up here. This edge lines up here, which lines up with the top of my shelf. The one mistake I realized I made after I made the brackets was I wish I had made this a little taller and made this hole here, which would bring this hole from here a little further out into my piece of wood. But that's my basic. Once I had this sketched out the way I like it, I cut it out, made some test holes, came back over here and tested it to make sure it lined up where I wanted. Like I say, I wish I'd made this a little bigger, but it's going to work and be exactly what we need. This is the piece for the back, and this is the piece for the front. Of course, you'll have to make two of them, one for the driver's side, one for the passenger side, and they are exactly the same. I took that, transferred it to a piece of flat metal, cut it out, folded it, and drilled my holes to make my brackets that are going to go in here, like so. I took some rough measurements with a tape measure, cut out a piece of cardboard, place it on top of my bracket, And using my lines that I drew, got a rough measurement of what I needed. I took a pencil, traced along the edge, and kept trimming till I got a piece that was really close to what I needed. I took this piece, once I got it close, and I tried to use a piece of foam board, but that didn't work well. But I had this 1/8 inch board laying around. It's kind of flimsy, so I reinforced it. But I traced this pattern onto the solid board because I wanted to make sure I had the shape that I needed. And this goes right back into place. And I kept trimming that, and trimming and trimming and sanding till I got a good tight fit right on my lines all the way around. This was a very inexpensive piece of wood that I just had laying around, so it was zero cost. Took this, laid it on top of some 1/2 inch Pure Bond, traced it out, and cut to fit. Once I got this cut to the basic shape I wanted, I sanded it very well, beveled the edges a little bit, and it did take a few attempts to get it where I wanted. But that's what I ended up with. I wanted to do something a little different because we figured we're going to be utilizing the seats a lot. So I picked up some little swivel 12-volt lights. Figured out a good place to mount them so that they'll shine on the seat, so if you're driving down the road you can read, or when the seats swivel it'll shine over your shoulder and still light up your book or whatever you're working on. Once I marked that spot, I drilled two 2 1/8 inch holes, which I'm going to use to mount my lights once I get everything upholstered. These just pop in, push on, push off, swivel around, point to wherever we want. So that'll go in after we put some upholstery on this. This is the top, this is the bottom. This is small, thin wood. It's only 1/2 inch, but it's pretty solid. All we're going to store on this will be jackets, window screens, very light items, so it doesn't have to be real thick. If you wanted to put something heavier, you'd probably want to use a 3/4 or whatever. But I wanted to take and put a ledge to keep stuff from sliding off. Not only will it prevent it from sliding off, it'll add a little more support to it and give it a little more strength. So I cut a 2x2 to length, angled it to fit the same angle as the roof, and then sanded it down lightly. I am not an upholsterer. I've never done upholstery work, but my thought is I'm going to start here with the upholstery, wrap it around, go all the way across, and come back to this point, so it'll be one solid piece. Trim the edges and tuck them in. Same thing here. Trim this, fold it over and tuck it in so that this piece lays on top of it. So that's my thought, and I guess we'll see how that works out. I laid the 2x2, I put the fabric between the 2x2 and the shelf board, put some glue on it, screwed this together, to lock it in place. Now I'm going to take and put some more of the 3M90. I'm going to start right here, spray this side, wrap this up, smooth it in, and just work my way from here to there. Put a pretty generous coat of the 90 spray adhesive. You have to wait till it gets tacky. Once it gets tacky, if you touch it, if it sticks to your finger, it's not ready. Once you touch it and it feels almost dry, a little sticky, but it doesn't stick to your finger, doesn't transfer like that, then it's ready. So we're just going to have to give it a minute. Well, we got the wrap, we got the upholstery wrapped around the wood. Started underneath this piece, this 2x2, went around this way, gluing it down as we go. Once we got here, I ran some screws through this board into the 2x2 to secure it. Then I wrapped across the top of it, came all the way down, wrapped around the end, did a bunch of notches all the way here. It's not perfect, but you can see where I notched underneath. But then I laid this piece on top and tucked it all the way up to here. So we're ready for the test fit. I have not cut out the spot where the lights go yet.
This thing moved.
Yeah. Okay. This bracket's not secured or else it wouldn't go in. These are snug but not completely tight. That's kind of the finish, the fit. Got a little tight spot there. I still have to notch out for the lights and run the wire for the light. But once I get this in place, I simply take the bracket, line this hole up here, take my screw with the little hanger, put it back in place, get the screw started. And I'll put this where it goes. Tighten that down, run some screws up in through here. I already had the hole drilled in the metal bracket, but I took a nail and heated it up and singed the upholstery so that it wouldn't unravel. Drilled a pilot hole and ran a 5/8 inch number 10 wood screw in each of the locations. To secure the top. We've got the shelf wrapped. I made the holes, put the lights in, installed them. Pretty simple. They have a couple of little clips that hold them in place. You can see on top there's a little spring-loaded clip right here that holds it in place, and then I use Wago connectors to connect everything. Now, since we're going to be putting blankets, jackets, lightweight things up there, I didn't want to leave the wires exposed, so I'll show you this in a second. But I built this little cover that's going to go right over top of the wires, and I'll wrap it and lock it in place, and then use Velcro to hold it in place. Little piece of small ply with some trim around it to make a recessed area that's going to hide the wires. I'll wrap this with the same material and put some Velcro on the bottom of it just to hold it in place. That way I can take it out if I ever need to get to the wires, or it'll stay in place while the blankets, jackets, and other things are on top. And there is the finished piece in place. And as you can see, it'll come out very easy to give me access to everything, or go right back in place to protect the wiring. I also took and put Velcro on the bottom of my cover to keep it from sliding around. It locks in and sticks to the upholstery, giving it a good, clean, finished look. With the shelf that we put in, we decided to do something different and put the lights in. While we had the seats out and we were installing the swivels, we ran the connections and did all the wiring underneath the driver's side seat. So now we have lights that light up here, and when you're swiveled around, it'll light up in your lap so that you can read while you're sitting, relaxing, having a cup of tea, working on the computer or whatever. Or if you're driving, just slide it forward. It'll light up your lap here if you're looking at a map or whatever you're doing when you pull over on the side of the road. Other than that, that's another successful project with the headliner and the lights. Don't forget to subscribe, click that like button, and hey, leave a comment. We love hearing from you guys. Thanks.